G'day guys. So obviously there was going to be some deadlifts involved in the program when it was entitled Deadlifts and Dunks. Now obviously to me it sounded like a really cool name for a program, but quite frankly the reason why I wanted to emphasize the deadlift is because I've been asked quite a few times if you could narrow down the most important exercises, in your opinion, what would they be? And to me, my first answer, after I've asked, do you have any back problems? Are you healthy? It's always the deadlift. And the reason why I preface that with, are you healthy and do you have any back problems, is because if you do have a herniated L4, L5 or something like that, then you're not going to start doing a barbell deadlift. You'll start with a variation, and then as you get permission from your doctor, you'll be able to progress to this point. But quite simply, the deadlift is the king of all exercises. You're going to get the most amount of strength, force production. You're going to build muscle, obviously. You're going to build strength. You're also going to get leaner doing it. It requires a tremendous amount of flexibility, obviously strength, effort, concentration. It's a lot harder than it looks, but at the same time, it is not that difficult. So when we go through the deadlift, as you can tell, I like to talk. I have tried to record this video quite a few times, and I think the best way for me to do this is just to demonstrate it, give you little points, little bit by little bit, because quite frankly, you could go through the deadlift in 2 to 3 hours and still not hit every single point. It's definitely something you're going to have to learn over time with yourself, but that's what I'm here for as your coach on this program. You can contact me, I can help you out the best way I can, and if I don't have the answer, I am not too proud to admit that I don't know, and I'll ask someone else who's smarter than me, and we can get that answer for you. But here we go, here's the deadlift. Now the first thing you'll see is I'm wearing some really cool Air Jordans, right? I don't ever want you to deadlift in shoes that have any kind of arch to them. Now these Jordans that I'm wearing right now, they're really comfortable, they're great to play in, but I wouldn't recommend deadlifting in them. So I'm gonna take my shoes off, I'll see you in a second just in my socks. Okay, so if you're asking me right now, Ben, why do I have to just be in my socks? Again, there's a lot of information out there. I highly recommend you look up Dr. Kelly Starrett. He gives you some really great answers. But simply put, you're going to be able to feel the floor better with your feet. It's going to put you in the best position possible to get into the best position possible to hit the deadlift. If you've got arches in your feet, more than likely it's going to be very difficult to get your chest up, your shoulders back. You'll probably round your spine, and that's how we can get hurt. Also, it's much better for all the stabilizer muscles in your feet, your Achilles tendon. You've heard me do the spiel on the warm-up and also on some of the other videos, so I won't go too much further from there. But if you do insist on wearing shoes, Chuck Taylors are a great choice. In my opinion, the Air Jordan 1 and 31 are both great choices as well. But you don't have to go out there and spend $200 on a pair of Jordans. Simply just get the flattest shoes possible, or if your gym allows it, just take your shoes off. First thing we're going to go over is where to stand and how far apart your legs should be. So simply put, when we do the conventional deadlift, which is what we're doing, you want the bar to come halfway over your foot. Okay, if it's too far away, we're going to start in a disadvantage. If it's too close, it's very difficult for us to get down in the position we need to be in. So that takes care of that, halfway over your foot. And the next thing is how wide should you be? So as a general rule, if you jump a couple of times in your comfortable jumping position, more than likely that's going to be the same position that you're going to do a conventional deadlift in. So if you go up for a jump ball, a rebound, a dunk underneath the hoop, more than likely that's your power position. That's going to translate tremendously to the deadlift. So that's the best way to find it. And then from there, if we need to individualize it a little bit more, we'll do so. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to talk about how to grip the bar, and we're going to refer to a term called taking the slack out of the bar, okay? So I like to preach that we go with a double overhand grip. Yes, it's very common, and it's the sexy choice to do the alternate grip, and I highly recommend you do that when you can't hold the double overhand anymore. There's going to come a certain weight where it's just too hard to hold. That's when you can make the switch, and that usually takes place around 90 to 95%, sometimes a little less. So what we're going to do, we'll step in, screw your feet into the floor, take a second before you come down, set your breathing. Then we're going to come down, we're going to squeeze the bar just on the outside of our legs, put a death grip on the bar so it's not going anywhere. And next thing we're going to do is we're going to do a scapular retraction. If you listen closely, turn up your volume, you'll hear a little click on the bar. So yeah, you really have to listen. With the metal plates and the steel plates, it's much easier to hear it. But the reason why you hear that is as soon as you put your lats on tension and perform that scapular retraction that we do in our warm-ups, that means you're good to go as long as your chest is high. So you're down in position, you squeeze the bar, squeeze your scapulas back, bring your chest up, and then that's essentially your clear signal that you're ready to go because the bar is on tension. Now once the bar is on tension, all you need to do is brace your core and then simply perform a leg press. Now what do you think that means? So if you think about sitting in a leg press machine, you're pushing the weight away from you. That's all we're doing right here. A lot of people, unfortunately, they squat the weight. We don't want to do that. We want to make sure that we're in a good position where we can push the floor away from us. You're going to be a lot safer and a lot more powerful doing so. It's a lot better for your back. So we get our feet screwed in, deep breath, we'll get a death grip, squeeze our scapulas back, and then I'm going to come up into that leg press and lock out. Okay, so we're doing great so far. We've got our stance set up, we've got our width, we've got our death grip, we've got our scap retractions, we've done the concentric part of the exercise, which is fantastic. Now, this is where it gets tough sometimes, is how do we lower the bar to the floor? Yes, you will see some individuals at your gym slamming it down to the ground, and you know what, I'm not going to judge them. There is a reason for doing that, but I want you to control the eccentric portion of the lift, unless it's absolutely necessary where you bail out, you can just dump the weights. But what we're going to do, I'm going to come up, lock out. So that's the top part of my position. We then want to perform what's called a hip hinge. So you squeeze your glutes together nice and tight. All right, that's the top of the exercise. You're going to release your hips and then bring your hips back. Now the bar should be really close to our body. In fact, you'll feel it on your legs, okay? Once you release your hips, bring your hips back, your bar is going to come down naturally. You're going to bend your knees, and then once you get below the knee, bring it down a little bit quicker, okay? So here we go. I'm going to perform 3 reps. See if you can catch that hip hinge. It's a very, very important part of the movement, especially when you're doing more than 1 rep on the deadlift. So there you have it. Hopefully that wasn't too long-winded. That is how to perform the barbell conventional deadlift.